Hello, I'm Anna, and congratulations, Sean, on 1,000 subscribers. That's fantastic. What I love about Sean's channel is the honesty, apart from the variety of his reading, is the honesty of his reviews and the fact he's not afraid to bail on a book. It's always refreshing. Now today I thought I'd just share some of the books I've been reading, am reading at the moment. And starting with one I've just finished, which was Banana Yoshimoto Kitchen. I hope you can see the cover there. And I think this was recommended on Matthew Sharappa's channel, or was it Liv at the Book Nook, who has talked about Banana Yoshimoto. And I was very keen to get a book called The Lake by her, and that wasn't available at the store. So I bought this one, and it's a gorgeous cover, and really nice, slim book. I think it was her debut, but it's been reissued, and it's a story with lots of quirky characters set in Tokyo, I believe, and her tone is very friendly and simple and natural, so it feels simple, but it's easy to read, but it's still intelligent and tightly written, and there's a lot going on. So I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend, and looking forward to reading more by her. So that's Kitchen. Then coming up, which I've got a book, a podcast I do with Cressida Wall called A Little Less Guilty, which we talk about something not to feel guilty about each week, and I do a book segment on that one, just of what I've been reading that week. And I think the next one I will do, so you're getting a sneak preview, is this, The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolitzer. So quite chunky, but I just have heard so much about it, and I loved the interestings by her. So I'm going in with quite high expectations, but I just think it'll be a really interesting one to discuss and to see what she's done, because I think the interestings I read years ago, so, and I know she's written other stuff, but I haven't kept up with that. So it's been quite a few years, so it'll be just good to see how she's approached this one. So that's The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolitzer coming up. I'll have to start that soon, I think. And then the next one, I'm doing another podcast apart from A Little Less Guilty, called Books on the Go, which is launching soon, but that's just books. And I do one week with Amanda and the other week with Annie, who runs a bookstore here in Adelaide. So Annie said to me the Stella Prize was being announced, which is the prize for women's literature in Australia. And she said, we should read the winning book. And I said, yeah, sure, that's a great idea. And the winner was Tracker by Alexis Wright, an Aboriginal author who I've been meaning to read. She's won the Miles Franklin previously. And so I just said, absolutely, let's do it. And I went to the bookstore and I said, I'll buy that one. And this is it. Yeah, it's very chunky, really big. And I said, in fact, I was going to do this for the big book weekender with Simon from Savage Reads. And I did, and I've been reading it since before the weekend, and I'm still just about halfway through. And I don't mind big books. I love, some of my favourite books are super long, but it's not an easy, it's a slowish read for me, but the reason for that is quite fascinating. It's a collective biography of Tracker Tillmouth, who was an Aboriginal leader in Australia. He died only a couple of years ago, 2015. A larger-than-life character, and Alexis Wright knew him, and so she's talked extensively with him, but also friends and acquaintances of his going right back to his childhood, and he was one of the stolen generation, which is Aboriginal children who were removed from their homes to in their interests by government policy. So it covers really momentous times in Australian history, very much from a fly-on-the-wall perspective, and it's fascinating from that point of view, and just to get a sense of him as a character. So you feel a bit like you're around the campfire, just listening to these people telling a yarn and telling some sometimes very funny stories, and other times quite confronting, but it's very factual as well. So he worked for the Central Land Commission, and there was the Northern Land Council and the Cattle Farmers Association, and there was so many aspects of his life, and a lot of it is quite factual. But the approach that she's taken is it's not told in a lovely linear ABC, beginning, middle and end approach, which I'm used to in the Western tradition. My sense is that it's more the Aboriginal way of telling stories, which might be to work around it, and it's a different way of getting to the heart of a story, and I'm finding that quite slow, but I'm loving that she's done it that way, but it's not the easiest read. So in that sense, it should be a very interesting podcast discussion with Annie, and I think we're doing that on Friday. So stay tuned. That will be up and running soon. But yes, I bit off a bit more than I could chew with that is my feeling at the moment. But really, really important book. Now, the other one that I'm currently reading and enjoying is the Odyssey by Homer, translated by Emily Wilson. So this is the new translation that has come out, and I had never read it before, so I thought this is a good opportunity to read it, and I'm doing it as a buddy read on Litzy, and really enjoying it. It's very lively, it feels fresh, it feels modern, but it's also very true to the original because she's used the same pentameter, so it actually reads like a poem. I don't know if you can see that well, but it's got the same immediacy. It's really, and I've compared it with just the odd page from an older translation, which is more like prose, and it doesn't have that same punchiness to it. So I'm really liking this, and the book that has helped me actually that I read earlier this year was Mythos by Stephen Fry, and I listened to that on audio, and he narrates that, and it's wonderful. So I do recommend that as well, and that gives you a fabulous, for me it was an introduction because I'm terribly ignorant about Greek mythology, so being familiar with some of the names and stories has helped me with this, but I don't think you would need to know anything. I think you could go into it and just be thoroughly entertained. So I'd recommend that. That's the Odyssey, translated by Emily Wilson. And that's been really fun to just sort of see not what all the fuss is about, but it's referenced so much in modern literature and art that I do like getting a bit of insight into the original story. So that is what I'm currently reading. I'd love to hear if you've read any of those, and looking forward to seeing some of the other videos pop up on Sean's channel. Bye for now. Hi, it's Anna again. I was really inspired by the earlier video on Sean's channel with the garden setting, so I'm just going to show you briefly. This is where I was sitting with my precarious tripod arrangement earlier, and that's our garden with the rather crazy cubby house. And I'll just show you my bookshelf in here. These are some books I have stacked up that I have to read or want to read, haven't read yet. And then there are some more, and I want to read all of them immediately. That's the problem. There are some non-fiction, and again, I'm quite fascinated by all of these. So the problem is time. And here we have the library. So this is where I record the podcasts, and these are books. Now I run it as these are books that I've read, and once I've read them, I put them up here. But these shelves also include a lot of books that I haven't yet read. So there is a real issue. And then just coming through, this is the front garden, and I love, love, love reading out here in the morning because it gets the morning sun when I have the chance of a peaceful sort of 10 minutes is normally all I get in between kid things. That's my favourite reading chair, because you can see you can actually rest a drink on the arm of that chair, so that is a real winner. And you get a bit of street noise, but not too much. But I really, really love being out here. So that's it. Bye.